Welcome to Psychic Station. In the hustle and bustle of our daily lives, it's easy to become numb to the reality around us. Society shapes us in ways we often don't even notice. From the pressure to conform to unrealistic beauty standards, to the overwhelming expectations of success and happiness, many of us are unknowingly molded by forces beyond our control. We are taught to suppress our emotions, to push through pain, and to wear a mask of perfection. But what happens when that mask starts to crack? When the weight of societal expectations becomes too much to bear? This video is a deep dive into the emotional and psychological struggles that shape our lives and how we, as individuals, can challenge the norms that hold us back. In America, we live in a culture where success is often defined by external factors: how much we earn, how we look, and what we achieve. But this narrow definition of success can be suffocating. It pressures individuals to pursue a version of happiness that may not even align with their true desires or needs. What happens when we push ourselves to fit into this mold but feel lost in the process? What does it mean to succeed, really? Is it about wealth, fame, or something deeper? Consider the story of Emily, a 28-year-old woman who had seemingly everything anyone could ask for: a high-paying job, a beautiful home, and a perfect family. Yet, despite all of this, Emily felt empty inside. She had followed the script society handed her: work hard, achieve success, and you'll be happy. But in reality, she felt trapped in a life that didn't reflect her true self. This is the danger of living according to external expectations. We lose sight of what truly matters. Emily's story is not unique. Millions of people find themselves in similar situations, trying to keep up with the pace of a society that values productivity over mental well-being, image over authenticity. The fear of falling behind, of not measuring up, becomes a constant source of stress. We are told that mental health should take a backseat to ambition and outward success. But what if the key to true success lies in the opposite? Finding balance, nurturing our emotional well-being, and defining success on our own terms. The struggle for balance is not just a personal issue, it's a societal one. We live in a world that constantly demands more from us: more productivity, more appearances of success, and more emotional resilience. The constant bombardment of "you can have it all" leaves little room for vulnerability. People are taught that showing signs of struggle is a weakness, that asking for help is a failure. The result? We internalize these messages, and over time, they shape how we perceive ourselves and our worth. We become emotionally exhausted, isolated, and afraid of being seen for who we really are. Take the case of David, a 35-year-old man who had always prided himself on his ability to stay strong and independent. He was successful in his career, but when his father fell ill, he struggled with feelings of helplessness. Instead of expressing his emotions and seeking support, David buried his feelings, not wanting to appear vulnerable. The pressure to stay strong, to uphold the image of the self-sufficient man, prevented him from dealing with his grief in a healthy way. This is a perfect example of how societal norms can inhibit emotional expression and personal growth. But it's not just about individual struggles. These issues permeate society, influencing everything from the workplace to relationships, and even our views on family. We are conditioned to value hard work and external achievements, but at what cost? Are we sacrificing our mental health, our relationships, and even our sense of purpose in the pursuit of a life dictated by others' standards? The answer is clear: we are. And the consequences are devastating. In the workplace, the culture of hustle and grind leaves little room for mental health considerations. Employees are expected to work long hours, achieve constant results, and never show weakness. This pressure can lead to burnout, anxiety, and depression. Yet, how often do we hear about the importance of emotional well-being in the context of professional success? Rarely. Society has normalized the idea that success comes at the expense of mental health, and this has dangerous implications. The reality is that emotional well-being and professional success are not mutually exclusive. They can and should coexist. Moreover, in our personal lives, the pressure to maintain perfect relationships can be just as damaging. We are led to believe that love should always be easy, that relationships should always be smooth and effortless. But this unrealistic expectation sets us up for failure. Relationships, like everything else, require effort, communication, and vulnerability. The myth of perfect love leaves many feeling inadequate when they inevitably encounter challenges in their relationships. And when these challenges arise, people often feel ashamed to talk about them, believing that asking for help is a sign of weakness. So, what can we do to break free from these societal constraints? It starts with acknowledging that we are not alone in our struggles. We need to open up conversations about mental health, vulnerability, and emotional resilience. We need to redefine success, not as a set of external markers, but as an inner peace and authenticity that allows us to live fulfilling, meaningful lives. This involves rethinking our approach to work, relationships, and self-worth, and rejecting the damaging narratives that have been ingrained in us. To make this shift, we must first challenge the idea that emotions are a weakness. Emotions are not something to be suppressed. They are a vital part of the human experience. They guide us, inform us, and when acknowledged, help us grow. When we allow ourselves to feel and express our emotions authentically, we reclaim our power. But personal transformation doesn't stop there. Once we begin to challenge societal norms, we also need to take action. One of the most impactful ways to do this is by embracing self-care, not as a luxury, but as a necessity. Self-care is not just about pampering yourself, it's about taking the time to listen to your mind and body, to acknowledge your emotions, and to understand your needs. This may mean setting boundaries at work, taking a break when you need it, or being honest with those around you about your struggles. In fact, setting boundaries is one of the most important acts of self-care, as it protects our emotional well-being and helps us maintain balance in our lives. Consider the story of Sarah, a 28-year-old woman who worked in a fast-paced corporate job. She was constantly overwhelmed, trying to juggle work, family, and her own personal aspirations. One day, after an emotional breakdown in the office, she realized that she had been neglecting herself for far too long. Sarah decided to take a step back and reevaluate her priorities. She began setting clear boundaries with her coworkers and her family, refusing to accept more than she could handle. Over time, Sarah found that she was more productive, more present in her relationships, and more content with her life. Her story serves as a powerful reminder that self-care isn't selfish, it's essential for our emotional survival. This journey toward emotional freedom also requires us to reevaluate how we view success. Success should not be defined by external markers like wealth, fame, or societal approval. True success is the ability to live authentically, to follow our passions, and to prioritize what truly matters in life. In a society that often equates success with material wealth, it's easy to get lost in the pursuit of external validation. But when we prioritize emotional health, personal growth, and meaningful relationships, we redefine what it means to be truly successful. This shift in mindset also requires us to reject perfectionism. The pursuit of perfection is one of the most damaging societal pressures. The idea that we must constantly be perfect, whether in our appearance, our careers, or our relationships, creates an impossible standard that no one can meet. Perfectionism feeds into the cycle of self-doubt, fear of failure, and anxiety. By embracing imperfection and understanding that mistakes are part of the learning process, we free ourselves from this toxic pursuit of an unattainable ideal. Another critical aspect of challenging societal norms is understanding how deeply they shape our relationships. We are often taught that love should come easily and that it should always be blissful. But real love is not about perfection, it's about growth, compromise, and vulnerability. True connection comes when we allow ourselves to be seen for who we truly are, flaws and all. Vulnerability, often seen as a weakness, is actually one of the strongest foundations for building meaningful, lasting relationships. The concept of vulnerability is something that many of us struggle with. We've been taught to hide our weaknesses, to put on a mask of strength, and to always appear in control. But the reality is that vulnerability is what makes us human. It's through our shared vulnerabilities that we form deep connections with others. It's through vulnerability that we learn to trust, to love, and to be loved in return. To truly embrace vulnerability, We must be willing to let go of the facade we've built and allow ourselves to be authentic. This may mean having difficult conversations, expressing our true feelings, and confronting the parts of ourselves we've hidden for so long. But in doing so, we open the door to deeper connections and more fulfilling relationships. Ultimately, challenging societal norms is about freeing ourselves from the expectations placed on us and embracing our authentic selves. It's about breaking the chains of perfectionism, vulnerability, and emotional repression, and creating a life that aligns with our true values. It's about living authentically, pursuing emotional well-being, and redefining success in terms of personal growth and meaningful connections. By taking these steps, we can begin to build a society where emotional health, vulnerability, and authenticity are valued. A society where individuals are empowered to embrace their emotions, speak their truth, and live their lives in alignment with their deepest values. In doing so, we create a world that is not only more compassionate but also more connected, more resilient, and ultimately more human. Thank you for being part of this journey with Psychic Station. Share your feedback in the comments below. Your voice helps shape our journey forward. See you in the next video.